This afternoon, let us savor an excerpt from Gyatso's Song of Enlightenment, along with an explanation. And then let's meditate. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is brought to you by the kind folks who help support this channel on Patreon. This afternoon, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Ahsoka Tano on Lothal, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any time during this afternoon's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, simply type that question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Together, let's chant. Oopsie, it would be better, I think, if I put an indent, it is the beginning of a paragraph. In the sandalwood forest there is no other tree, only the lion lives in such deep luxury and was wandering freely in a state of peace. Other animals and birds stay far away. Just baby lions follow the parent, and 3-year-olds already roar loudly. How can the jackal pursue the king of the Dharma, even with 100,000 demonic arts? So, what the hell is the author talking about? So he's speaking metaphorically. So, in the sandalwood forest, there are only sandalwood trees, which is why it's called a sandalwood forest. So we draw a dichotomy. Lions on one side, everybody else on the other. So only lions are enough to, and lions are brave enough to feel comfortable in the sandalwood forest. The inference is, in the presence of lions, other animals sense peril. This idea of fearlessness or safety is elaborated when we read, just baby lions follow the parent. So only lions hang out with lions because they eat non-lions. And even when a cub is but 3 years old, already its roar is formidable. How can the jackal pursue the king of Dharma? And so the author is beginning to pull back the curtain behind the metaphor and say, oh yes, this lion isn't just the king of beasts. Oh no, he's also a emblematic of the king of Dharma. In Buddhist literature, when the Buddha taught the Dharma, a nickname for that action was the lion's roar. I don't know about you, but I've met some pretty insipid spiritual teachers. And in Buddhism, I met some very insipid teachers of Buddhist philosophy, people who taught defensively. And it may be cute and adorable for a few minutes, but after a while, it's just exhausting. And so the idea is, just as a lion in the fullness of his strength knows no predator. Likewise, when we have mastered the Dharma, we can weather the storm. We can weather misfortune. We can weather adversity. That's the phrase. Now, this doesn't mean we don't experience the full spectrum of human emotions. And it doesn't mean our bodies don't experience the full spectrum of human sensations. But by mastering the essence of Dharma, the meditation we'll get to in just a few minutes, we're able to endure the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, to reference our friend William Shakespeare. I'm going to take a moment to insult your intelligence, so brace yourself. Brace yourself for a great big no duh. Ready? Neither you, nor I, nor Joe Schmo down the street live in an ivory tower. We are not divinities dwelling in a paradise reminiscent of a painting by Maxfield Parrish. We experience every type of circumstance, from the glorious to the grotesque and all things in between. That same spectrum describes our experience of the physical, our experience of the interpersonal, and our experience of the mental. Our minds can imagine the glorious, they can imagine the grotesque, and either tantalize us or torment us with them. The Buddha was well aware of this when he taught of the universality of stress. And although you and I might not be, as Steve Martin once said, the all-being master of time, space, and dimension, we do have the ability to take whatever life gives us and make it worse. How do we do that? By giving too much power to our primal survival drives. Our primal survival drives to shove at other things, to reach for things we do not have, or cling to things that we do have. These things, when they are, these things make excellent tools, but terrible advisors. It's like getting advice from Homer Simpson. I wouldn't recommend it. So, it's like getting advice from Evil Ken, if you saw the Barbie movie. So, the Buddha taught the Eightfold Path so that we could be free, not from the presence of these terrible internal advisors, but we could be free from their tyranny. So that instead of being great dire wolves who fill us with fear, they could be little yapping puppies, adorable in their impotence. So that is why we're going to meditate in just a moment or two. One moment, I have to blow my nose. And I'm back. Welcome to Easy Meditations Proto-Zen, the latest iteration of our practice text, or sadhana, if you're fancy. Just as the main course at a restaurant comes after the hors d'oeuvre but before the dessert, similarly, our meditation comes after a little teeny chant, and after our meditation, we once again perform a little teeny chant. This chant is just a wonderful way of exercising the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. Please chant with me. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So now we come to mindfulness and meditation, which are known by a host of names, including Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, Triksho, and Slice Through. Despite the grandiosity of the names, the technique is simple. Physically, we emulate the posture depicted in this photograph of a statue. When it comes to our breath, during the inhalation, we want our inhalation to be relatively shorter and sharper, and we want our exhalation to be comparatively longer and softer. Mentally, during our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. You see, my friends, every time we inhale, we are wired to automatically access our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved not for active concentration, au contraire, it has evolved to merely notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. We could notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We could emote, intend, reason, recall, or imagine. We could experience the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, or the grotesque. Of course, this begs the question, what are we going to do with all this stuff that we notice? With each exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the three-syllable verb, relaxing. You see, every time we exhale, we are wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to both physically relax and mentally release. Now, release is not a fancy way of shoving something away. It means we're taking a break from the exhausting habit of living in resistance to all we perceive, emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine. And instead of resisting it like Superman making bullets bounce off his chest, instead of doing that, we let it pass right through us like we're Casper the Ghost. And we do all that through the magic of noticing and releasing. On the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice the phrase, first collection of 16 sets of 16 rounds. This is completely bonus material. You may find it helpful. You might not. This was first demonstrated for me by an aging Bengali, so I refer to this as Bengali crease counting. Back in junior high school, I was introduced to bodybuilding, and they told me about reps and sets. Well, meditation's similar, only instead of using the word reps, we use the word rounds. A round contains one inhalation followed by one exhalation. And so right now I'm going to show you how to count to 16 using just 4 fingers and 1 thumb. During your inhalation, you'll want to advance your left thumb. And over the course of 16 inhalations, you can keep track thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now that will only take you 1 or 2 minutes. And if you want to meditate longer than 1 or 2 minutes, you'll have to count sets of 16. And that's where the right hand comes in. You can count your first set of 16 breaths, your second set of 16 breaths, your third set of 16 breaths, and so forth. Now, is this overtly described in the corpus of Buddhist literature? No. I'm neurodivergent. I have ADHD, I have autism, I have birth trauma brain damage, and for my furry little brain, I found this to be a very helpful adjunct to the practice. Whether you have a clean bill of health or whether you're as nutty as myself, you might find this useful. Or not. The choice is yours. I leave it to you. I mentioned during the opening lesson, and by the way, if you're hearing sounds in the background, that's not the gardener. Those are the worms eating into your brain. Nope, that's just the gardeners. So, as I mentioned before, we are not celestial entities inhabiting a painting by Maxfield Parrish. We experience the full spectrum of human sensations and human emotions. And so when we feel an emotion that is just grabbing us by the lapel and shaking us about the head and shoulders like a French au pair, instead of resisting it, instead of ignoring what we feel, instead of excusing what we feel, instead of indulging in what we feel, we simply notice what we feel. And the only label we need to play with is the demonstrative pronoun this. And so here's the great irony. If all we do is silently and mentally recite these two words in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, we will make progress. We will become more peaceful. We will become more loving. We will become the people that our dogs already think we are. If you've just joined, welcome aboard. During the inhalation, we're silently and mentally reciting this. During the exhalation, we're silently and mentally reciting relaxing. When you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or philosophy or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please do not fight your body. If after X number of minutes your body's had enough and wants to go lay down, then let it. If you force your body, all you'll do is develop an aversion. But if you honor your body, then the next time you practice, you'll probably meditate a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And occasionally you'll have setbacks because we don't live in a vacuum and we have all these outside influences playing havoc with our bodies. But by far and in large, you will experience greater effortless duration in your meditation. So be kind to yourself and other people as well. Let's seal this afternoon's practice with a bit of the old wishing love. May everyone be free from suffering. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from their happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window. You could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could share it with a friend. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. Either way, in approximately 3¼ hours, I intend to return to lead today's evening meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.